I know some of you guys have been waiting a long time for this one. And well, here we finally are. It's time to talk about the Beatles. Alright, so I distinctly needed to wait till August 28th to talk about them. And the reason for that is because it marks the first anniversary of me actually listening to the Beatles. And to all those out there, please note that yes, I have only been listening to them for one single year. Not 10, not 40, not my entire goddamn life. 1 year. So if anything, this is an extremely unbiased ranking because I have no special connection to any of these albums. So keep that in mind moving forward. But not only is it the first anniversary of me listening to the Beatles, it's also the first anniversary of me meeting a special lady. Because our first date was an American English concert. Now, if you don't know who they are, or if they don't play around you, which I have no idea how far these guys travel, but they're a Beatles tribute band. And if you have the chance, I highly recommend you see them because it is the closest you will ever get to seeing the Beatles live. Unless, of course, you've actually seen them live. Well, fat chance on that one because they stopped touring like halfway through their career. But yeah, man, I spent a lot of my life not liking the Beatles. Or so I thought I didn't. Because there's a couple songs we'll get to later that kind of tarnished my view of them. And then I saw this band play and I was like, wait a minute, I know that song. And I had no idea that was by the Beatles. But anyway, enough talk. Happy anniversary to a very special viewer of this video. And for the rest of y'all, let's finally get into the rock band, the Beatles. Alright, so I actually looked up a couple other people's rankings before doing this one, just to get an idea of how everyone else feels, and it seems I am not alone in thinking Yellow Submarine is easily the worst one. I mean, half the album is just the movie soundtrack, which is fine, I guess, but it's like orchestrated and like, I don't know about any of you, but I do not put on albums to listen to an orchestra suite as a movie soundtrack. And not to mention, there's only 4 actual new songs on this album, and out of all of them, Hey Bulldog I think was my favorite. But really, I'd rather just not listen to this album again. And it's the only one I do not plan on buying. And the other general consensus is that Beatles for Sale is also not that amazing. Every little thing is pretty decent, I suppose, but everything else is just kind of forgettable, especially following a string of albums that have several bangers on them each. And one of those albums is A Hard Day's Night. Oh, yes, I know I destroyed one of you with this placement being this low, but you know, Dance With You has like these 2 really cool chords they play right next to each other, and I love that shit. And I also love And I Love Her. That's a really good song, probably my favorite one on this album. And then you have Can't Buy Me Love, which is also a jam. But then everything else, it's aight. I mean, I guess it's kind of like a movie soundtrack, which the movie was kind of goofy. It's the only movie I've seen so far, but I guess it was rather interesting. And then in You Can't Do That, there's like a really annoying cowbell that's going around the whole song, and I just really don't like how it sounds. and it's present the entire song, and I'm just like, I can't listen to this song. But it's still a major step up from Beatles for Sale, which is true for all the rest of these albums. Honestly, I kind of stared at my list, just really trying to figure out, is this really how I feel? Because all these albums have like several really good songs, and at this point, it's just like, which songs would I take over the other ones? And then moving right along to the debut, Please Please Me. Well, I Saw Her Standing There is a pretty good bop. The title track is great, and the Twist and Shout cover is like the biggest one when I was watching American English, where I was like, wow, I had no idea that was the Beatles. Because we all know the scene in Ferris Bueller, and usually with covers, I do not count them. Like, if I really like a cover, it doesn't technically count for that album. But Twist and Shout is so good, it kind of bypasses that, where it's like, yo, it might be a cover, but shit, it might as well just be their song at that point. But honestly, my biggest problem with the first couple Beatles albums is that they all kind of sound the same. I mean, you can swap out the songs between all these albums and I would never even know. And I think that's why I prefer the last half of their career, because they are actually all very distinct. Whereas like Please Me and With the Beatles and Hard Day's Night, all these songs just sound the exact same. Probably because they were putting out like 2 albums a year, which is crazy. But like half of them are covers too. So that's why it's kind of like lower, just because, I mean, there's like 6 original songs or whatever on here. And other albums just have more original songs, obviously. And going from the first to the last with Let It Be. Let It Be, we're done. Leave us alone. It's been like 10 years. Sorry guys, but this band is over with. But anyway, we have I Me Mine, which is pretty rockin', along with One After 909, which is another. I had like 5 songs that I wrote down to listen to after that concert, and One After 109 was one of them. The title track, Let It Be, is also a really good song. It's a pretty fitting close to the band. And then Get Back is great too. I love how the whole thing is like on the snare and it has like that marching feel to it. Yeah, couple really good songs, but then also a couple really okay songs. Okay, some of you are probably thinking I'm a lunatic for having the greatest album of all time at number whatever this number is. And I gotta be honest, it was a solid 3 spots lower on the list, my first run through. And then I looked up, I was reading into this album and how everyone's like, oh yeah, best, their masterpiece, best album of all time. And I was like, did I miss something? So I went through it again, and yes, I did miss something. And I have no doubt in my mind that upon, like, as the years go by and as more listens come in, it'll probably move even higher. But as of now, 3 listens, I think I'm sitting it right here. Love You Too has that sitar and, you know, making a weird-ass track, but it's also really neat. A handful of songs are really good too, like Good Day Sunshine, because the piano fills in it are really cool. And Your Bird Can Sing is really good. I Want to Tell You. Eleanor Rigby kind of finally hit me as a good song. Taxman's pretty decent. You know, there's a lot of pretty good songs on here, but honestly, I'm not like totally in love with any of them. I understand why it's held in such high regard, because there's a lot of like good variety on here. I just prefer their other stuff. And it's time for bombshell number 1. Are you ready? So the reason I hated the Beatles for so long is because I heard songs like Yellow Submarine and I Am the Walrus, and I thought, wow, these songs are really stupid. And if this is how that band is, I don't want to listen to them. So Yellow Submarine and I Am the Walrus, which we'll talk about in a bit, ruined this band for me. And after going through all their albums, after this year, I can still confidently say Yellow Submarine is still a horrible song. I'm sorry. I read that they were trying to make it sound like a children's song or like a children's book, and it shows. You know why it's stupid? Because children's books are stupid. Yeah, we love them when we were young, but then looking back, unless it's Dr. Seuss or Captain Underpants, man, get that shit out of here. Alright, and if you're still watching, I applaud you because you are not totally immature and can handle opinions, which, congratulations. Now we're talking about the White Album, or the self-titled one. So we got 2 discs here. There's 30 songs or something. Some of them are some of their best, but a lot of them are some of their worst. Honey Pie is straight garbage, on the first disc, not like the actual song. Wild Honey Pie, which is good. The normal 50-second song, total waste of time. Bungalow Bill is really catchy, and easily the best song on the first disc is As My Guitar Gently Weeps. Such a good song. It's just disc 1 is just full of bizarre songs Rocky Raccoon and Why Don't We Do It in the Road, which is also total garbage. Obla D I also cannot stand because that goddamn bass riff is the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. Boo-doo-doo, boo-doo-doo, boo-doo-doo. I hate that. I hate that riff with all my heart. And at disc 2, we got hits like Birthday, Everyone's Got Something to Hide, of course Helter Skelter, which damn near invented metal. Honey Pie, like I mentioned, the actual song is pretty good. Revolution 1, I don't know. Do they play that one faster, live? Because I swear I remember that song being at a higher tempo than it actually is on the album. Because I kind of like that one too, but the album version is different than what I remember, which is kind of weird. Maybe I'm crazy. But then Revolution 9 is total garbage too, waste of time. 8 minutes of absolutely nothing. So yeah, like I said, a lot of 1 stars, but also a lot of 4s and 5s. So it's very uneven, which is why it's sitting pretty in the middle-ish. Alright, and the world's first prog album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So we have the first 3 tracks, which are super solid, with a little help from my friends. Ringo actually sings a good song. I think that's him at least. Loosening the Sky with Diamonds, super catchy. Then you have Within You, Without You. What the hell even is that song? But at least it ends relatively normal with the reprise and A Day in the Life. And then When I'm 64 is kind of a goofy song too, but it kind of gets stuck in my head a lot. Yeah, man, it's a pretty good album. Not a lot of lows. Stays relatively high the whole time. They did another trippy album that I like just a little bit more. First half is solid, but nothing crazy. It's kind of like the good version of the last half of Yellow Submarine, where it's like a movie score, but a lot more interesting. And then, of course, you have I Am the Walrus, another completely garbage song. And then the second half really, really picks up, with Hello Goodbye, another really catchy song, Baby You're a Rich Man, and All You Need Is Love. 3 full-on 5-star songs, very close together. Strawberry Fields Forever is pretty decent too. We have 2 very distinct sides. Second one is obviously way better than the first one, but the first half is still pretty decent. I just think it's more consistent than Sgt. Pepper, just by a little bit. Alright, and easily my favorite of the classic Beatles, we have With the Beatles, album number 2. You got Won't Be Long, pretty great. All My Loving is really good. I Want to Be Your Man. Both these songs are fire. And then we have a couple covers with Please Mr. Postman and Roll Over Beethoven, which was another one that I wrote down. I like them too, but like I said, they're both covers. But I still like them. And then I know this was around the time where I Want to Hold Your Hand was done, but it's not on this one or any of the ones I have, as a matter of fact, because the pain in the ass, like they have like 5 versions of all these albums. We got introducing the Beatles with the Beatles, having dinner with the Beatles. We got like Ringo Starr's bathroom. I don't know, but there's like a different version of these albums in every country ever, and it's a pain in my ass. And it sucks because I was like, I want to listen to this song, and I try to look it up, and I don't have it, so I gotta look it up on YouTube to listen to it. Just make all the albums the same. Make them the same in every region. How hard is it, honestly?
Rev up those fryers, because I am sure hungry for one. Help!
Help! I need somebody.
Help! The bronze medal belongs to Help. So, this does have my favorite Beatles song. It used to be Come Together, but now I think I can lock it down as the title track. I love Help. It's always stuck in my head. It's mostly those 6 notes in the chorus, Never underestimate the power of 6 really well-placed notes. And then we have Hide Your Love, which is a fun little acoustic song. Act Naturally, I really like, although yet again we have another cover. And then we have I've Just Seen a Face, which, oh my god, this looks so much better when I don't have like the white blinding my face. But I've Just Seen a Face I really like that song. It kind of reminds me, it's like a similar vibe as You've Got to Hide Your Love Away, but just done a tiny bit better. Yesterday really grew on me since the first listen. I was like, why? Why is this like the most covered song of all time? I don't get it. And then I heard it a couple more times. I was like, okay, I kind of get it. But yeah, honestly, we have like the whole middle of the album from I Need You to Just Tell Me What You See, which is, I don't know, there's not much in there for me besides Act Naturally, which, just holds it back just a little bit under the top couple spots, but that's just because those 2 albums are almost perfection. Our runner-up is Rubber Soul. So, Drive My Car totally beats ass. Norwegian Wood is really short, but hella sweet. I like sitars. Sitars sound cool. And then we got What Goes On. It's kind of like a goofy little shovel song, In My Life, we have really good melodies. But I'm sorry, Girl Can Die because he keeps doing this weird breathing thing every time he starts a verse, and I kind of hate it. But yeah, even like all the other okay songs are better than the other okay songs on most albums, which makes this album basically flawless, dare I say. Well, besides Girl, obviously, because I really hate that. Stop doing that. But man, when it comes down to it, I know I'm not being special at all for doing this. Why don't you introduce the #1 album, Mr. Drake Bell?
Don't even think about it.
I'm telling you, if we give him that album as a birthday
Absolutely
present,
not.
I guarantee you he'll reinvite us.
Dude, I love this album more than I love myself.
Dude.
Okay, but I love this album a lot.
Yes, Abbey Road, #1. And it was #1, like the first time I went through them, I was like, wow, there was a lot of really good songs in that one. I like that one. And then my second run through, still really good. Like I mentioned earlier, Come Together, even when I hated the Beatles, I always had to admit that intro was really, really cool. Cool little sliding bass and the run down the toms. So cool, so cool. But then you have like Oh Darling, which is kind of like a blues song, but with a little more edge. And then Octopus's Garden is like the good version of Yellow Submarine. I Want You, She's So Heavy is full of great bass fills, and the solo section is great, and the whole ending, holy shit, that's a really good song. Easily in my top 5 Beatles songs ever. If only it ended better instead of doing that stupid cutoff thing, because every song that has ever done that, it's a really, really bad way to end a song. I'm looking at you, Dream Theater, with Pull Me Under. And then we have Here Comes the Sun, which I have to thank Ghost for introducing me to that song. I really like their cover of it. And then I heard the original, I was like, oh yeah, that's really good. And then we have the whole second half, which is, I guess, like the long suite or whatever they call it. It's pretty interesting. There's because a lot of them are like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and they just kind of like go like blend together. So it's like, what's the point of even like trying to like dissect them by the tracks? But like Carry That Weight, I thought was cool, and then the end finally have a little tiny drum solo, which is cool. But yeah, man, this one has the most 5-star songs for me, which puts it at number 1. But there you go. There is my long-awaited Beatles ranking. Let me know what your ranking is. I'm sorry if you really like Yellow Submarine. I'm sorry if you really like I Am the Walrus, or Why Don't We Do It in the Road, or Honey Pie, or Girl. I'm sorry, I can't stand these songs for various reasons, but that doesn't mean you can't like them. Yeah, slowly but surely, I'm trying to get all the albums, but I think I shot myself in the foot because there's like these like newer versions where, I mean, they all kind of have like this thing, where they're like remixed. I don't know, but they all have like, the apple on the end, and I thought like, why not get all of them like that? Because it would look really cool instead of having like mixed albums. So I've only got I've only got 7 of them. I got a couple left to go. It's kind of hard to find, but what are you gonna do? But yeah, stay tuned for the next video. If you're a longtime Beatles fan, you're probably not gonna know who the hell I'm doing next. But if you want to stick around, perhaps one day soon we will get back to more bigger, well-known artists. But until then, go see Dr. Robert, because you think your bird can sing, but it can't. So you're obviously crazy. And I love you too.